Okay, it says we're live. The only problem is that I can't see the comments with the camera turned around like this. So... Okay, we'll see if this works. Now I have to watch the comments on Whitney's phone. It says it's on, but I have to see if I can watch the comments on this phone.
Watch what?
I have to see the comments on this phone. And Timberland's gonna yell the whole time. Maybe we can watch them on here. Let me see if I can pull up the comments. Here. Okay, so here's people that say hi. Let's see if they can even see us. I'm trying to pull it up. Okay. There we are. So, guys, put in the comments where you're from so that I can tell Grandpa.
I got my mouth open. I look stupid.
Can you guys hear us at all? I gotta find out if they can hear us. So, Spruce is from Maine. MSL Logging is from North Carolina. Barry Hansen is from New Zealand.
Okay.
So, I think that's three people so far. And they said that they can hear us. Josh Molinex says, "Oh man, I bet your grandpa has a lot of stories. He's from Natchez, Washington." Okay, so you're 79 years old now, right?
Yep.
And you started logging when you were 20?
Well, I started before that. I started.
Now they gotta answer the phone.
Hello? Okay, Steve. Uh-huh.
Grandpa's painting his house tomorrow.
Uh-huh. 8. Yeah. No, it won't be too early. Not at all. You'll get done. That way you can get done enough so you can do something else maybe. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks for the call. Yeah. Bye-bye. 41316 Northeast 12th Avenue.
Now everyone in the world knows where Grandpa lives.
41316 Northeast 12th Avenue.
Casey forgot.
Hey, at least there's 8 people in the world that know where
Just
Grandpa
above the
lives.
tree farm. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for calling. Good night. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Grandpa's having his bedroom painted tomorrow, so that was the painter calling. So you were 20 years old when you started logging as a company, but you were logging before then?
Yes, I started logging. I was logging before I started going to school.
Why don't you share that story?
Yeah, I started when I was about 5 years old to cut alder trees down by the creek because I was Mom needed wood and And Dad wanted the trees down so he could get more pasture for the cows, because we had some milk cows we was milking. And he didn't have enough cleared land, so he told me to cut them trees down. So I took my double bitted axe down there and cut trees. So, and then I chopped them into 3-foot logs and put them in my wagon and pull them up the hill to the house. And then saw them in the buck on a buck sawhorse. That's a rig that holds logs for you, so you can cut them
So that you
without
could cut 'em.
rolling around all the time. Yeah. So anyway, that worked pretty good. And so when Mom said I had to go to school, I told her I didn't have time to go to school. I was too busy logging. Had trees to cut.
But you went to school, right?
Yeah, she won out. I had to go to school, and I never did do real well in school. My mind was always someplace else.
You always wanted to go logging.
Yeah, I always wanted to be wasting time here at school.
So Josh is asking, curious if he knew my wife's uncle, Larry Umicker.
Nope.
Don't
Sorry.
know Larry Umicker.
Don't know him. No.
He sounds like he lived on the Toutle River.
Oh. Uh-huh.
So when you were 20, then you actually started your logging business.
Yep.
Was that Sherman and Zumstein then?
No, I started on my own and worked for my brother. I contracted with him and just yarding logs with my D4 and an arch behind it.
Was it that D4 right there?
Yeah.
That same style? Here, let me
7
grab it real quick.
7 years D4. And yeah, we got it coming here.
So Grandpa has a replica of his D4 that he started logging with.
It had a canopy on it and a winch and so it looked different. It was logging equipped instead of a drawbar.
Did it have rock guards on it?
Oh yeah. It
Same
was-
style blade though?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. The blade just like it was. It's exactly what it looked like. And
So-
it had a goat motor, was kind of cantankerous too, especially when it got down. If it got down to 10 degrees, it was very hard to crank. And yeah, we had a lot of trouble getting it going when it got really, really cold. And of course, then it was froze to the ground, so sometimes you couldn't. If you didn't keep tracks cleaned, the whole track frame clean, then you were froze solid, and we would have to build a fire under it with fence posts and things and get it thawed out.
There's a big
By the
debate.
time we got going, it would be afternoon.
There's a big debate right now online of whether you're an operator if you shovel your own tracks or if you make a laborer shovel the tracks for you. Did you shovel your own tracks or did you have someone shovel them for you?
Oh no, I shoveled my own, yeah. But
So at what point did you move from yarding logs for brother to when you started your own business?
it was about a year and a half later, I started my own business and I bought a timber sale. And how am I going to log this myself? I got to have help.
Was it
But
so
I
did
didn't
there
want
was
to
there
hire,
any,
didn't want to hire anybody, so I decided, well, maybe Bill Sherman would like to go in partners with me, and we worked
so
together.
was Bill your neighbor then?
Yeah,
And was Bill the same age as you or where was he at in school compared to you?
he was 3 years ahead of me.
3 years ahead of you?
So he had been in the service, and he just gotten out of the service, and he was pumping gas downtown at one of the stations, and he hated it. So I told him I needed somebody to help me. He said, "You bet, I'll help you." So he went and bought a new chainsaw, and I had the cat.
What chainsaw did he buy?
A McCullough.
A Macola?
That's when McCulloughs were good. The top of the line saw. Yep.
So he bought a chainsaw and you had your D4?
Yep.
And where was the state sale at? Or was it a state sale?
It was a Forest Service sale.
A Forest Service
Yeah,
sale?
government sale.
What, was there any verification process to know if you knew how to log or you just bought the sale and
Just
they
bought the sale. Yeah, we doubled our footage on it. It was a cash sale, so much for the whole thing, and by golly, from the Columbus Day storm is what it was from.
Mhm.
Timber blew down, so that.
So you were logging just blowdown, or were you clear cutting the stuff that was still standing?
No, we were just harvesting the blowdown is all. Yeah, it was only 33,000 board feet.
33,000 board
It's the
feet.
smallest sale I think they ever sold.
Did they pay you by the 1,000? Or how did you, what was the
No,
price
we
of wood
just-
then?
I just paid for there was no other bidder, so I got the sale.
Okay.
And yeah.
And how were logs bought back then? Were logs bought by the 1,000 when you were selling then?
Yep.
And what was the price per 1,000 for like Doug fir?
I think it was around. I remember right.
Sorry if you
It
hear
was
the
about-
baby crying in the
about-
background.
I think it was about 50,000. Or, I
50,000.
mean, $50 a thousand.
$50 a 1,000.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so we started on that sale and we doubled our scale. We got 70,000 board feet out of it. So,
Okay.
So we done real good on that sale. Yeah. So
So it looks like Spruce is asking, do you like Stills or Husqvarna?
still,
Did you ever own a Husqvarna?
no. Yeah.
If you guys have
There's not
questions,
much-
make sure to
not much
send as many
comparison.
questions as you have.
Huh?
He's been logging for 59 years now since you started logging with your brother.
Yeah.
So he has lots and lots of experience. So feel free to ask any questions that you guys have. So then after that state sale, where did your business go from there?
Well, then we kept logging private wood for quite a long time. And then we went to work for Pulp and Talbot, and then we had to have a tower. We
So you bought your first tower,
bought our first tower and logged on that.
and what did you buy?
We bought it's built up at Aberdeen, a Tillman Tower. That's what it was. Tillman was building towers in Aberdeen,
How tall of a tower was it?
Washington, and it was a 65-foot tower.
And how many? It was just a straight tower, right?
Yeah.
With how many guy lines?
6 guy lines.
6 guy lines.
Yeah.
And how far
And
out?
it was a 3-drum machine because we bought an extra set of drums and frictions so he could add a drum to the existing hoist that we had.
Okay.
So, and it was all custom built, and we put it on a off-highway Kenworth truck.
What's the biggest? Looks like videos. Or no, Josh Molinex wants to know the biggest tree diameter that you ever cut.
It was about 8 foot on the butt.
And was that a blowdown that you cut, or
No, it was
or that was standing?
tree yet. Yeah, I got a picture of it. Can they see it?
Yeah, if you have the picture,
I do.
grab the picture and then you can show it to him. How's it going, Elite Earthworks? Hey, videos by Al. He's logged 6 years under Barry Hansen's age. Well, if you count the time that he was logging since he was 5, then he's probably quite a bit over your age. Gramps has a lot of stories. So any questions you can think of, one of the
I don't
huge
have that many.
logging magazines in this area is called Loggers World, and Grandpa was featured in it twice. Here's his Loggers World article from when he worked as Sherman and Zumstein, and then when his partner Sherman retired, then he was White and Zumstein, and he was featured in Loggers World again as White and Zumstein. So we'll show you a couple more of those photos a little bit later. But the first time he was featured in Loggers World was March of 1987, and the second time he was featured in Loggers World was July of 2003. Okay, so this is the photo of the biggest tree. Josh, you were asking what the biggest tree was. Let me see if I can get some of the. Sorry, it's like 30 seconds
There's something
delayed. So
right again,
there you
that
go.
light over there is fouling it.
I think it's the computer, but if I tilt it, it works. So this is the biggest one, if you can see it. And I think Grandpa is somewhere. That one? I think that's
Second
Grandpa.
from the right.
Yeah, that one's Grandpa.
Timberlake.
That's me.
Timberlake.
Okay,
Don't.
so that's the biggest tree that Grandpa's ever cut. Videos by Al gets Loggers World. So maybe he's seen your Loggers World articles. Okay, so you bought your first tower, and then you were still private logging, or you were logging state sales and.
Yeah, we logged from my brother, Yummy Yard, for a long time.
Okay.
For 3-4 years. That's yarding unmerchantable material. The Forest Service had an ID that they wanted to get all the debris off the ground. So we logged all the chunks and the stuff that was no good into a huge pile around the tower, and then we moved the tower out and they would burn it.
So they were just trying to get debris off the ground?
Yeah.
Was it for fire prevention, or just because they decided they didn't want a bunch of debris in the woods?
Yeah, they thought it should be cleaned up better, and so they spent a huge amount of money doing that.
So how would you bid jobs like that?
We bid it by the acre.
Oh, by the acre?
Yeah.
And what did it?
Yeah.
What would you make? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but it worked out to be profitable.
It was profitable. Kept you busy.
It was profitable, and just we didn't pay that much for the tower, so at that time it cost us $21,000, and we done quite a bit of the work on it too.
So Spruce wants to know what your scariest moment was ever logging.
Scariest moment. That's when I fell in the Kalama River off of a big old growth tree that fell across the river, and it was from the Columbus Day storm.
What year was the Columbus Day storm?
1962.
And were you logging it right afterwards, or this was quite a while?
No, this was 6 months after.
Okay.
Yeah, and anyway, we couldn't drag it up there with the root on it and everything. So with that little D4, we didn't have enough power. We didn't have the tower there then. We were just catalogging on that job, and so we still had the D4. So I decided I'd go out and cut the thing off the root, but leave enough wood holding on the bottom side so it didn't fall. But
I'm guessing it didn't work out that way.
yeah, unbeknownst to me, my bar wasn't quite long enough, and when I went down and checked how much wood I have, it looked I had quite a bit. But I was looking at the bark, of course, not the.
Was the bark
not
about
the
this
good
thick,
wood.
probably?
It was old growth bark, so it was pretty thick. Yeah, it wasn't a big tree though. I was sure my bark was reaching through it fine, but it wasn't. So I got back up on top, and there happened to be a Forest Service guy who had just come out to check our work, and he said, "Isn't that kind of dangerous?" And I said, "Oh yeah, it is if you cut too much. If I hold enough wood, it'll be fine." Well, I just started cutting, and it collapsed. I cut the wood, all the holding wood off, and unbeknownst to me.
Were you standing on it or standing off to
Yeah,
the
I
side?
was standing on it.
Standing right on top of it.
So of course it went down, and I knew the root log would be right after it. So I figured, well, I guess my time is up. So I knew I wouldn't survive that.
How deep was the river there? Could you stand up?
It was about, oh yeah, it didn't have much water in it. It was early fall, so it was pretty dry. But that wasn't the problem. It was that big root water that I knew was coming after me the minute I hit the rocks in the river. So yeah, anyway, it did come right down on top of me, flat out, and buried me. under it, but there was a 12-inch or 14-inch hemlock log laying. I just lit parallel to that, and that held the weight off of me mostly. And there was just some roots stabbing me in the back. But yeah,
So how they get it off of you?
They had to bring the cat around, and they got a hold of some roots and pulled it up, raised it up off of me enough that they could drag me out of there.
How long were you under it? Do you know?
Oh, half hour maybe.
Did the Forest Service guy remind you that that's a little bit dangerous?
I think he just went home. Poor guy. He did come down, and of course, when I fell down there and it come on top of me, he come down there expecting me to be dead. And
Was he the first one down there?
yes, that was the only one out there besides me. Bill was over logging in another part of the sail,
Okay.
a little ways away. So then they had to build a road into there to get the cat over there. So that took a little while. And yeah, I don't know what happened to him that day, but he disappeared. So I guess he figured my brother's logging crew was up the road, so they immediately were flagged down along the road. He stopped them and told them that we needed help over here to get me out from under this rut. But the first thing he come down there, he expected me to be dead, and he said, "Are you still alive?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." I said, "Except these ruts are punching me pretty bad." And that was my worst accident, and then we won't go into the other times. But yeah.
So how did your company grow after you got the tower?
Yeah, we got more production, we got better jobs, and
What was your next piece of
nicer
equipment?
wood to log. So then we went to work for Longview Fiber Company, which was the big paper mill in Longview here.
Who's now sold out to Weyerhaeuser.
Yeah, belongs to Weyerhaeuser now, but
So what was your next?
their timberlands do belong to Weyerhaeuser.
What were your next upgrades then, as far as equipment goes?
Well, we got a new bigger tower, 75-foot tower, and more power, more drums, so we could run a slackline carriage.
Okay.
And we could run a.
Hey
also
Whitney,
run a motorized
everyone can hear you
carriage.
singing Baby Shark.
So that was an Edco tower.
A what tower?
Edco.
And where did you get?
Yeah.
Is that the one that you drove on the freeway to get it here?
No, that was a log loader. Prentice.
Oh, okay. I thought you had to drive the tower on the freeway too, or
I
something.
did. Well, I drove that from Roseburg, Oregon up here.
That was when you first bought it, right?
Yeah.
Was there any issues getting that up the freeway?
Yeah, we had a good set of tires, but they were not much rubber left on them, so we set them and had them recapped. And whoever did the job of recapping didn't cook the tires enough, so when we put them on under all that weight and started up the freeway with it, they started smoking, and the rubber started boiling out of the melted rubber was boiling out of the tires, so we had to slow down to about 20 miles an hour.
On the freeway.
Yeah,
At least the speed limit was what, 55 then on the freeway?
something like that. Yeah, but we were on a 4-lane road, or 4-lane freeway, so everybody could go around us. But anyway, we drove it as far as Albany and finally quit. It was getting dark, so.
So what's the
Then we took the tires off and had them redone, and then they were okay after that.
So most people on here have seen The Prentice. They've seen it in the Loading Cedar video, and then they've also seen it in the Loading Alder with a Drone video. So what's the story about The Prentice on the freeway? Why don't you share that story?
Oh, well, I was driving it back from down down by Mill Creek out of Longview going towards the coast. And coming along, I was just doing fine until I got stopped by the police. He was in his personal car. He wasn't on duty, but he just seen me driving that Prentice kind of slow. It didn't go too fast, you know, and so
How fast could you drive that?
it'll go about 40
Top speed?
top speed. Uh-huh.
And what year was this that you got pulled over about?
It must have been about 95, something like that. Yeah.
So he pulled you over in his personal car. He just waved you down?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He passed me and motioned me to pull over. He said, "You can't drive this thing down the road this way." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Because you don't have any cab on there. You're sitting right out there in the open." So the motorcycles.
And the motorcycles probably don't weigh 50,000 pounds of steel going down the road.
Well, possibly, yeah. Anyway, he said that I couldn't go any farther until he got me an escort, a police escort. So he said, "I'll have you on here in a few minutes." So I waited about 45 minutes and nobody came, so I just pulled out on the freeway and continued to only had to go to Woodlands.
So what, do you have 5 miles left or so?
Yeah, well, 6, 7.
Yeah. So Barry Hansen wants to know what the best parts of logging you had were.
Best parts of log. Well, it was all fun. There wasn't anything that was bad.
You're still
about
logging.
Yep.
You still log from time to time today.
Very rewarding, yeah. And I loved all parts of it. But I like timber cutting really well. And also, I guess my most enjoyable part was building Logan Road. I laid out a lot of road and built a lot of road for Longview Fiber Company.
What type of equipment would you use for that?
Just mostly D7.
You'd push out the root wads and everything all with the D7?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Did you guys have your own dump trucks or did you
Most
hire
of the
people?
timber we were logging for them was all second growth, so it wasn't a lot of big stumps. And when I laid road out, I didn't go through the biggest stumps.
You just would go around them?
We just lay it out so that we could get trucks in and out. And that's what they liked, because it didn't cost them near as much to have me do it as if they had a contractor come in and build it.
And did you guys have your own dump trucks or did you have private people haul rock?
No, we didn't rock anything.
Oh, you would just leave
Most
it?
of this road I built was mostly just for summer
Okay.
roads.
So you just
And
haul
then
it
they
on the
just
dirt?
Water barred them and put them to bed when we were done.
Oh, okay.
So they weren't permanent roads, most of them. Most of their permanent roads were all in. We just built all the spur roads so we could get to all the timber that they wanted us to log. They didn't do all that extra road building because it was expensive and they didn't want to do that. That's why they liked us to do it, so they could save quite a bit of money that way.
Okay. So what year did you get your new Edco tower then?
Oh, must have been about,
Is that the D4 that you started with?
yeah.
I gotta show this picture. So we showed the replica of the D4, which was right here. This is what he started with logging. And that's a D4 7U,
Yep.
correct? And then there's this photo in the Loggers World article of him and the actual D4 that he was logging with. That's what he started with. At what point did you get Old Brown? That's what you named him, right?
Oh, yeah.
The cable log loader?
Yeah, Bill bought that. That's when Bill and I were in partners together, and he had the log loader, and I had the cat and an arch, And we went together and we split our money up according to how hard it was to log and how difficult it was to load. So we would, different jobs, we would change a percentage.
Of how you split it up between the
How we
partners?
Split it between, yeah, most of it was about 50-50, but there was places where it went
So did
different.
this loader work good then for loading logs?
Yeah, it worked very good. Yeah, it was. But it was very difficult to hold big logs up because the brakes on it weren't that good. There was.
Did it have
I
outriggers?
imagine it's built to lift a little half yard of rock, so you can imagine what it was.
Oh, is this an excavator style, like a line shovel that was converted to load logs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a half a yard of rock would only weigh about 11 to 1,200 pounds, and you're trying to lift probably logs that weigh 3,000 to 6,000 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all the leverage that they're hanging out there. Did you add outriggers to it?
Yes. They were on it when we bought it, but they were slide outriggers. They weren't hydraulic. You put a log on each side of the machine, then you tipped it up and with the cat, pushed the log under the outriggers and then set it down on them. So once it was set up good, it would not tip at all. It would hold really well.
So they want to know how many years of logging experience we total together. Well, if you have 59 and I have about 2 years combined over my entire life, that makes about 61.
Yeah.
So 61 years of experience with 99% of it being his. So, and then is this this photo right here, is that of you and Bill together when you were kids?
Yeah. That's taken out right here on the farm where we're at now.
So that's 5-year-old Grandpa when he really started logging, cutting 3-foot chunks for firewood for his mom. But then she made him go to school. So how long did you and Bill work together?
40 years.
And is this the Edco yarder?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the Edco yarder that had the wheels melting off that he talked about is this one right
Tires.
here. The tires, yeah. The recaps. And that was a 70-foot tower or 75?
75.
And it was built in Roseburg, Oregon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, Glide, Oregon, actually. They aren't building them anymore.
So John Warren says that'd be very interesting to see that cable loader work. Did it still run when you parked it there? It's still parked here on the farm.
Yeah, it would run, but it won't run now. It's been sitting there for 30 years.
It'd be quite the project to get it going again.
Yeah.
And
And when it was still running, it was hard to keep running because it would foul the plugs all the time.
was it a gas motor then?
Yeah, it was a gas motor. Mhm. Yeah. And you'd have to take the plugs out and clean them up, get it going again. So,
Barry Hansen says that the D4 looks very similar to the D4 that he ran back in 1978 in Australia, where he was building a dam for a farmer and it had a pony motor to start it. Yours had a pony motor on it too, right?
yeah. Mhm.
And Wayne Tharp says he bets the guys still using mules are pretty envious of your D4.
Yeah.
So you and Bill logged together for 40 years. And what year did Bill retire? Hey, Timberland.
It must have been, oh gee,
Hey, you, come here.
can't re- must have been 30 years ago, almost. So, probably around 90, maybe 95.
So was the Prentice, the one that's in all my videos, was the Prentice the first hydraulic log loader you owned then?
Yes.
And that was the upgrade from the cable log loader?
Yep. Mhm.
run.
And then the Mitsubishi that's in the Loggers World article here, is that what you bought after the Prentice, or did you have something in between?
No, that was after the Prentice. Then
So this-
we used them both together then. We used the Prentice on the cat side and the old log loader. I mean, the old log loader on the cat side and the Prentice on the tower.
Okay, because the Prentice, once it's there, it's pretty much just stationary.
Yeah. It's hard to use it under the tower, but we did for a long time. It's under the tower right there in that picture there.
What year did you get this Mitsubishi?
Must have been 1980, something like that.
1980. And was that the Mitsubishis? They weren't very popular at all when you got it, wasn't it?
Yes,
You
they
said-
were pretty
were they?
popular, yeah.
Did you save a bunch of money by going with a Mitsubishi versus a Cat or a John Deere?
Yeah, it was $100,000 less than a cat.
$100,000.
Yeah.
How much was a Cat then? If this is $100,000 less, how proud was Cat of their
We
equipment
paid
then?
about $150 for this.
150,000
For this,
for an MS 300.
yeah.
Which how much did that machine weigh then? 90 some thousand.
It was around. I think it was about 85,000.
How's it going, Dickard? Okay, so then you logged with Bill for 40 years, and then you started logging with Gene, and Gene is on the cover right here. Gene White. That's Gene, right?
Yep.
Looks like him.
Yeah.
A younger Gene. So you started logging with him. At what point did Gene buy out Bill?
About 95.
In 95?
Yeah.
And then, so then that point, it became White and Zumstein because you and Gene were partners.
Yep.
What upgrades did you and Gene do to grow the business?
We bought more trucks, more log trucks.
How many trucks did you guys run?
Had 4 trucks.
Okay. And then would you still hire a bunch of private haulers also, or could you haul
Some.
most of your stuff with
We
your
hauled
4
most of the
trucks?
stuff ourselves, yeah. We didn't have to hire very much. But running 2 sides, we did have to sometimes still have extra trucks.
So in 2003, you were still running the Edco. There's a picture of the Edco right there. Were you still running it? Is this a picture of it on a job?
Yeah. What year is this log?
This Loggers World is 2003. Chad D says that man has forgotten more about logging than I will ever know.
Oh, you popped it. You tooted.
Sean was trying to post a current photo of Old Brown. Do you have any photos, any current photos of where Old Brown is now?
No, I don't.
Oh, what's that?
Not to take a picture of
What
it.
are
So.
those?
So is this was your newest truck then that you and Gene bought together, right?
Yeah,
And you bought that one with a pup trailer?
yeah.
I can remember as a kid when this truck was brand new and you first bought that truck. There's the newest truck that
That was
he and Gene had bought
that-
together.
500 horsepower motor.
500 horsepower?
Yeah.
And who made the motor?
Cummins. Excuse me. Yeah. No, Cat. It was a Cat motor.
Who's that?
A cat motor in it?
And it,
Truck number 4 bought in 2001. 425 loads from the job site that this photo is taken on. And all but 16 of those loads had been alder. Must have been a big alder job.
Yeah.
So when you and Gene were working together, how many sides did you run?
2.
2 sides. Were they one tower side and one ground base?
Shovel side.
And how many shovels would you run on the shovel side then?
We had just one.
This Medill would have been used at the shovel side?
Yeah.
The Medill 3800 that they used on their shovel side.
And then we had another shovel under the tower, and then a third shovel with a processing head on it.
Which would have been